Greetings, friends around the world. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy Channel. Half human, half pig, what's the difference? Decided to do this particular sermonette because of a headline summary that I saw on BBC News at its website. The headline was, "An animal is half human, half pig. Is such thing possible? Is this true? And why are they even talking about this?" The article starts off with, "The quest to create animals with human organs has a long history. It's now becoming a reality. Has science taken a step too far?" I believe according to the Bible it has. But continuing here, it says, Frankenstein scientists developing part human, part animal, chimera, sometimes pronounced chimera. So science wants to break down the fence between man and beast, the Washington Times declared 2 months ago. The hope is to implant human stem cells in an animal embryo. They'll grow specific human organs, etc. It says, for millennia, chimeras were just the stuff of legend. It comes from a Greek mythology, with Homer describing a strange hybrid of an immortal make, not human, lion-fronted, snake behind, and a goat in the middle. Supposedly it gave forth fire and it roamed around in Asia Minor. It says in reality, chimeras in science are less impressive. So they've been working on this, including putting trying to grow human organs inside of swine, the unclean animal, otherwise known as a pig. And one concern is stem cells that will reach the pig's brain, creating an animal that shares some of our behaviors and abilities. So this is one of the things in the news item. Now, of course, you've heard the expression for a long time, men are pigs. With more research, they try to make this a bit more literally correct. But can they really? There's something else to talk about. There's something else, another chimera, they're calling it a human-Z. It says chimps share 98% of the human genome, and a fully mature chimp has equivalent mental abilities and consciousness of a 4-year-old human. Fusing a human and chimpanzee embryo, which researchers say is feasible, could produce a creature so human that questions regarding its moral and legal status would throw 4,000 years of ethics into chaos. Would such a creature enjoy human rights? Would it have to pass some kind of humanist test to win its freedom? Would it be forced to do menial labor or have to do dangerous activities? Of course, those of us who believe the Bible aren't surprised that humans have gone the ways that they have and done all kinds of things which should not be done. If you go to the book of Genesis, there's a story, it's a true story that happened in Genesis chapter 11. And I'd like to read starting with verse 6. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Now nothing they shall propose to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so that they may not understand one another's speech." Then God spread them abroad, and that place was called Babel because they were babbling, they didn't understand each other. But God did this so humans wouldn't be so advanced technologically until the end of the 6,000-year plan, start of the 7,000-year millennium would take place. And now we're seeing humans do bizarre things. And I'd like to read a prophecy about the last days from 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting in verse 1. "But know this, in the last days perilous times will come. For men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy." Skipping down to verse 5. "Having a form of godliness, but denying its power. From such people turn away." Going down to verse 7. "Always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth." Now let's go down to verse 13. Talking about the last days, it says, "Evil men and impostors will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived." So we're seeing weird things happening. They're trying to grow human parts in animals and those kind of things, trying to splice these things together. Was that going to turn something to a human? Oh, well, no. As far as what's being human, let's go to the book of Job, chapter 32, verse 8. see a difference between humans and animals. Job 32, verse 8. But there is a spirit in man, and the breath of the Almighty gives him understanding. Unlike animals, humans have a spirit of man, which gives us understanding. As far as animals go, there's a difference between an animal spirit and a human spirit. If you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 21, let's read this. Who knows the spirit of the sons of men, which goes upward, and the spirit of an animal, which goes down to the earth? There are humans and there are animals. They're not the same. There's not truly going to be any half human, half animals. But what scientists are working on should not be done. There's a major difference between a human brain and an animal brain. Some animal brains are about the same size as a human. Some, such as whales, are even bigger. But the way animals function, the way humans function, there's a huge gulf. It's not even close. God gave animals a type of instinct so they can eat, reproduce, and live, but it's not the same as a human who can think. Humans have different attributes, different characters. We're not the same as what's called animals. Humans can choose. We have free moral agencies. We can live completely different lifestyles from one another, whereas animals, generally speaking, have to live kind of the same way the other animals in their species are. Of course, there's exceptions. If you take an animal out of the wild, you put it in a cage or make it a pet or something. But generally speaking, animals don't really choose their lifestyle. They don't have those kind of choices. They can't make moral choices. They can't do the types of things that humans can do. And the reason is because there's a spirit in man. And it's the human spirit. It's a spirit essence. It's not matter. It's because it's not matter. Scientists can't find it. Evolutionists try to act like a human is just evolved from some other type of animal or whatever, and this is just nonsense. But the human spirit gives the power of intellect. Now let me read something that was in the Old Plain Truth magazine back in November, December 1982. Quote, the human spirit imparts the power of intellect to the physical brain in two ways. It gives the brain instant recall of whatever the brain calls for in the knowledge stored in this memory, or human computer. It supplies the brain whatever energy is needed to cause it to think. That is, to put the pieces of information stored in the spirit together in the process we call thinking, reasoning, and drawing conclusions. The human spirit is the means God has instilled to make possible a personal relationship between the human man and divine God. The Bible warns that because humans are not going to listen to God, that they will have problems, rely on things that they should not. Romans chapter 1, for example, starting verse 18 says, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because what may be known of God is manifest to them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things which are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they're without excuse. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed animals, and creeping things. This is what's happened. Instead of seeing God's invisible attributes of his creation, realizing why noticing humans are really a lot different from animals. No, they're not. They're kind of like animals. This was prophesied that they would have such attitudes. Now, humans are different for lots of different reasons. And they should not be genetically splicing or mixing human genes with other animals. These genetically modified organisms often are an abomination. Let's go to the book of Hebrews. So it gives us some more information about humans. Hebrews chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 6 through 8 from the New King James Version of the Bible. But one testified in a certain place, saying, What is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you take care of him? You have made him a little lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, and set him over the work of your hands. You have put all things in subjection under his feet. Humans were made to rule creation, and they were made just a little bit lower than angels. They're not the next step and an evolutionary step from animals. Now in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, God said what he made was good. Let me read this. Then God saw everything he made, and indeed it was very good. Now how did God make the creation? Well, let's read Genesis chapter 1. Go back a few verses to verse 20. Then God said, let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures. Let the birds fly above the earth, across the face of the firmament of the heavens. So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that moves, which the waters abounded according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. They're supposed to multiply with each other, in the same species. Let me go down now in verse 24. Then God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, cattle, the creeping thing, the beasts of the earth, according each to its own kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Well, when they're making chimeras, they're distorting. They're trying to cross over and mix a bunch of different kinds together, which should not be done. This clearly violates Genesis chapter 1, verse 22, but people do this. Now, it's my view, and has been for some time, that all this genetically modified stuff is a perfect storm that's going to cause problems, perhaps famine, etc., food shortages, because we're relying more and more genetically modified crops. But this idea of mixing humans with animals, this is unholy. Shouldn't mix the holy seeds it talks about in Ezra 9:2 and also in Isaiah. Humans are not animals. They should not be mixed together. So are they going to make a half human, half pig? Well, they certainly may create some type of a pig with a lot of human DNA, but it's still not going to be a human, because there's a spirit in man which is not in animals. While I do believe scientists are going the wrong way on this chimeras as well as what they're doing with genetically modified foods, these things are not good. What they are making will not be human, because they will not have the spirit of man which is imparted by God, and he does this through regular human reproduction. And he started this when he breathed into Adam and made him initially he and Eve. We are in the last days. These are perilous times. Scientists are doing all kinds of bizarre stuff that they should not be doing. Don't fall for how great supposedly these types of things are. They are monstrous, they are unethical, and they are wrong. This is Dr. Bob Thiel for the Bible News Prophecy Channel.